So I bought a new Duramax Chevy truck 2 months ago, right? And this whole thing about this truck was I needed a new vehicle. I had our vehicle now. My wife got a Trader car and Blasi Blasi, got a SUV. So the whole thing worked out. I ended up getting to this dealership and getting this vehicle. It was like kind of crazy. You couldn't find any of these trucks at the time. It was a big rush, and I didn't pray on it too. And I was like, everything worked out. Like I had an appointment got canceled for me to go there. I was on my way to a doctor's appointment. It got canceled. I ended up going to this dealership instead. The whole thing was like crazy. But I get to the car dealership. I meet this guy. I emailed him from the night before about the vehicle. I saw it in the parking lot. To get to the game, get to the story is they call him Wild Bill. So he's out like chain smoking a cigarette, drinking a cup of coffee. He's pretty fired up. So he sees my plates. He's like, when I was trading a truck, he goes, "Are you a vet?" He goes, "You disabled veteran?" I said, "Well, yeah, I'm a vet." And he's like, "I saw your plates, man." He's like, so he told me a little bit, started talking. He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Where you at?" We talked a little bit about, Iraq, Fallujah area, stuff like that, a couple of different spots. And he's like, "Right on." And so I see the truck I want to test. He goes, "Let's take it for a ride." And that's what he's talking. He's like, "Hey, man, I was in Triple Canopy and I worked at a couple different places. And small story short, the guy was banged up. He got shot up. He had about 13, he got shot about 13 times, 14 times, all through him in, South America. He was a commo guy. He wasn't a shooter guy, militant guy. He was a communications guy. He did like phone stuff and hooked up people's commo. Like anything, like cell phone service, like immediate, anywhere you're at, he like boosted up. This is what this guy did. Contracted. But when he realized, I talked to him a little bit, I was in, I was in Bosnia. We talked like we in Afghanistan war. He like had a sigh of relief, He's like, he put his cards on the table, but I could tell he was hurting, I could tell. And this wasn't, too far after, I've been on my journey, with coming back from Operation Restore Warrior. And make a long story short, like, what happened was I was at the dealership today and I was talking to the manager about it. And I was like, yeah, he's like, I remember seeing you guys outside. He's like, he goes, we were making jokes about it. He goes, oh man, Wild Bill's got backup, because they knew Wild Bill is, fired up and all this other stuff. And I was with him and I was laughing and we were getting fired up, but all in all, we're talking about war. And I told him pretty much, it's a wound, this is a prayer. He said this prayer. And I gave him this Operation Restore War prayer. It's a prayer I sent out to a lot of dudes, it's a long prayer, 3 pages, So when I got the truck pulled up, he's like, he goes, you want this? He goes, yeah, man, let's go run the numbers on it. So I went in with the finance guy, talked to this dude, and I came back out, and Bill's like, hey, man, it's going to take him a little bit. Let's go fill the truck up with gas. So he filled the truck up with gas. He's like, I said that prayer. And he goes, I feel like some relief, man. He goes, I really do, man. He goes, I want to introduce you to somebody. So he went to introduce me to his girlfriend at the time. And I didn't think nothing of this at the time. So I meet her. He's like, hey, he goes, he knows some of the same people, he's been to war and other stuff, he's just buying a new truck for me. And like, he was really excited to introduce me as a friend to his girlfriend. And this will kind of play out as you see. So during the conversation with the manager, the other salesman's like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And I said, yeah. I walked over to him and he's like, what's your name? I said, John. He goes, Bill told me about you. I was with him the day before, that Friday before he passed away. He had a heart attack and passed away. And he goes, but he told me about you. He goes, yeah. He goes, I sold a truck to a dude, man. He goes, and really hit it off, man. He goes, really? He goes, you really got it. You like really helped me out a lot. And he goes, and I only talked to this guy for a little bit, and he gave me a prayer and something like that. It was just different, meeting somebody around, And the guy was talking to me about it, and I talked to him about it. I said, because when he said that prayer with the finance guy, my story's kind of messed up because when I got on the finance thing and he got gas in the truck, he goes, what do I got to do now? He's like, what do you mean? I thought he's like talking about the truck. And he goes, no. He's like, what about God? I said, well, ask for forgiveness and, ask him in your heart and fill your voids with the Holy Spirit. He goes, just like that. I said, yeah, man, go out there and do it. I said, I'm going to pray on you right now while I wait for the finance guy. And as he went and did that, and this and that, he came back, and I could see Wild Bill. He was like, a little fired up. And all of a sudden, boom, the deal goes through. And I was like, it was straight. There was no haggle, no this and that. And, I even told my brother, like, the whole deal was like kind of really crazy. But today, as a guy spoke to me, he goes, the best thing I knew, he goes, wow, Billy's like I knew, like after I told him that we prayed, the salesman was Wild Bill's friend. He's like, Wild Bill wasn't for everybody, you know. They call him Wild Bill for a reason. And this dude stood there and he started to tear at me. Told me, he goes, that's all I wanted to know. He goes, that he was saved. And then I was like, I left there, and they gave me a rental car, and I was leaving to go, and I hit that rental car, man. And I just was like, like that was like Wild Bill's buddy, and the fact that he knew he was saved, and I knew that was saved, and God worked this deal out that day, like straight up. I thought it was a deal with God. I'm praying on a truck, right, like to get a truck, and all in all, I was there to see Wild Bill and be like, hey, man, you don't need to hold on to this shit. You can get on to God, and you know, go from there. Start liking yourself again. But that's how it went down, man. And I did break down in the car. I barely pulled out of there because it was like heavy duty. Like, what a something. Grace. Like when you get, I guess when you get grace by God, it just, you all know what it's like. It just gets you. All right, man. Later.